Okay, good morning guys. I am on the Willamette River, just upstream from Meldrum Bar Park, and today I'm going to go after some shad. The river is stupid high and stupid dirty. This is probably really dumb, but I'm going to give it a shot. It's just been very wet spring here in Oregon, one of the wettest on record, and the river is like April, March high, even though it's June. And I don't have my autopilot, so I'm gonna be trolling because I don't really want to anchor in this current, and I want to deal with it and the dangers of it. And there's a lot of garbage coming down the river. Gonna try trolling with crankbaits or divers. Okay. Let's get this deployed. I don't know if I'm going to pull anything out of this chocolate milk, but I've never done this before, or at least tried this technique, so might be a complete waste of time. Oh, fish. Yep. Nice. That one on. I went in a little bit shallower there. There we go, first shad of the day. That's cool. Yeah. And that's how it's done. Well, proof of concept, at least it worked. That was like in 12 foot of water. Alright. It's a nice shad. Good size. That one hit the grub. There you go, first one of the day. Super muddy water, so I'm amazed they even got one. So what I'm doing today, because I don't want to anchor, and I don't want to worry about lead getting caught up on the bottom and snagging up, and plus you have to use a ton of lead when the current's like this, is I'm actually using a walleye crankbait. This is a size 11 flicker minnow. I love these things for walleye, but I love them too because they're cheap. They dive to like 20-25 feet, and they're like $5. I took off both of the hooks, and off the belly split ring I have a 4-foot fluorocarbon leader down to a shad lure, and you can use small spoons. I've always had really good luck with just a brass hook and a small chartreuse curly tail grub. So that's what I'm running today, and I've got the same setup on both rods. That one I got a small spoon on, this one I've got the curly tail grub. I'm just going back about 45-55 feet on the line counter till the bill starts tapping off the bottom, and then I'm just kind of moving back and forth across this seam between 20 and 15 feet. Now in dirty water it probably doesn't matter as much, but when the Willamette is running clear, or the Columbia, if you're doing this in the Columbia too, is be sure and use fluorocarbon, because these shad are very line shy. I've noticed I get way more hits on the lighter the line I go, and I always use fluoro. And this would be way easier if flows were near normal. I mean, we're 2 or 3 times flows what we should have right now, so this would be a piece of cake in a normal flow scenario. So since I've got here, the current has been just going up and up and up, so I keep tucking in, trying to follow this seam right here. It's kind of wavering from 13 to 18 feet. You definitely don't want to do this wavering all around if there's a bunch of boats anchored up in line, but if there's not many people out here, it's not a problem. You can see that thing bouncing off the bottom, the bill's digging in, popping up. It's good. These shad run tight to the bottom, especially when the current's really high like this. Oh, there's fish right there. That's on the spoon. Feels like a good one. They do like those spoons. That guy's way out in that strong current. Ooh, it's hard fighting in this current. It's fun on a kokanee rod though. Yeah, it's a nice shad. Woo. They're fun on light gear. Woo. Taking line. That's a big shad. That's a monster shad. I think it's a giant. Woo! Got him. Nice. That was awesome. You can't get turned sideways in this current though. That's awesome. There you go. Red, white, silver. Look at that shad. That thing is giant. Wow. That's a big fish. Alright, let's get that guy back. There he goes. That one was in about 18 foot of water. So the nice thing is when I'm, fighting a fish and dealing with it over here on the bank, this other rod's not going to snag up, right? It's just going to start floating up if I take the pressure off of it. So I don't have to worry about trying to reel up the other rod and fight the fish, because this one's just going to bounce along the bottom, and then as I go back out here and deploy, it'll just start diving again. So I have that one at 55 feet back. That was in 17 foot of water. So 13 to 17 so far. Now if the current was less, I would just keep trolling right up these seams, but it is ripping so bad it's almost easier for me just to stay in place. So you could do it either way. Alternatively, if you're fishing down in the lower part of the river and trolling, you could do one rod trolling for kings and have another rod trolling for shad using this crankbait. Alright, well I only had about an hour to do this, and I got 2 fish and I had a bite that didn't stick, so I'll give it 5 more minutes, but I wanted to do this video because I've getting a lot of questions about shad fishing from a kayak. And I put out a video last year where I was using my autopilot, and I think autopilot with the spotlight capabilities just really opens up the opportunities for this fishery for kayakers, because anchoring in these fast moving currents with lots of other boats around and debris coming down can be really sketchy and dangerous. So I wanted to show you a method that doesn't require that takes out all the complications. It will still allow you to run 2 rods, so it's very easy to do, and you can use these really inexpensive flicker minnows. Like I said, they're only $5 or $6 versus, you go buy divers, they're $9, $10, $15 a piece. And the great thing about them is, once you take the hooks off these things, put the hooks back on, you got yourself an awesome walleye crankbait. I've actually done really well trolling these for rockfish too, out over the reefs, because they dive down 20-25 feet. You can go over the tops of 30-foot reefs and rockfish or lingcod will even come up and hit them. So just kind of a great all-purpose lure, inexpensive, so if you do get one hung up and lose it, you're not really crying. But I wouldn't advise coming out here when it's super chocolate milk and running really high like it is today. The fact that I pulled as many fish out today in these poor conditions just shows how effective this technique is. I mean, visibility is less than a foot, so on a clear day you're going to get a lot more fish. The flows will probably be more reasonable as the river drops, if the rain stops this spring. But in other springs it's more typical for the river to be running nice and blue-green with several feet visibility, and the flows will be 2 or 3 times less than this, and you'll barely have to work to hold position if that's what you want to do, or you control, like I said, on these seams. So look for slow water meaning fast water, and just troll right up the edge of those things, and you'll find shad. If there's not a lot of boats out, you can actually work out back and forth across. That's a great way to locate the traveling lanes that the shad are using. All right guys, that's gonna do it for me. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section below. I'll put links to these flicker shads. I don't think the flicker shad color matters, so just pick the ones that you'd want to use for walleye fishing or fishing for yourself. And I'll put links to some of the shad lures I was using today. Well, I'll see you next time out on the water. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder.